good afternoon and welcome. I'm Sandy Donnelly, founder of the Women Warriors Network and DBC Health Retreats, curator of wellbeing retreats and escapes, guiding individuals and small groups on transformative journeys. It's a pleasure to have you here for Women Who Make Change. The Women Warriors Network was born during the pandemic to empower women to be seen, heard, and to make an impact. Today, we're a community of over 2,200 members globally, connecting diverse members, voices to collaborate, create opportunities, and drive positive change. I founded this platform to remind women that with the right support, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And to our gentlemen joining us, welcome. This is also about building strong, authentic business friendships that inspire progress for all. So we're joined today by 4 exceptional speakers, each with an incredible story and message to share. Orla, Bance, Fariha, Fatima, Tatiana, Dudyez, and Katie Keefe. So our first speaker is Orla Bance, Managing Director of CCR3 Academy. Orla doesn't just talk about change, she builds it. Through CCR3 Academy, she's redefining leadership, resilience, and growth for professionals across industries. With a sharp mind and a soulful mission, she helps people reclaim their power and rise with purpose. So please welcome a woman who makes change and makes it stick, Orla Bance. Oh.
Hello.
Welcome. Sorry, Orla. Very welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
That's okay, Sandy. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you. Very nice.
Very welcome. So we just want to hear all about CCR3 Academy, and then I've just got a couple of questions afterwards.
Okay, so CCR3 Academy is an academy I've set up to utilise tools that are based on emotional intelligence that the big companies are all using for succession planning, for leadership. I think it's a tool that I've used successfully in my consultancy for the last 3 years. It's part of an onboarding process that just streamlines everything and allows us to get straight to the heart of the matter of what's going on with people. So it allows us to go straight down to the values rather than just the behaviour. So the why people do things. I'm passionate about it. I love it. I'm building a collaborative group of women and men, but all who are authentically themselves and very self-aware and pushing for change. So yeah, that's my day job.
And very good indeed. It's definitely keeping you busy, and it's just definitely in the know now. It's everything we're looking for and what people need to be involved in. And it's good to get a better understanding about the CCR3 Academy. So CCR3 Academy champions coaching as a catalyst for transformation. So how do you see coaching shifting the way women lead and influence in today's business landscape?
Well, I think we're seeing a real shift in how leadership is defined anyway. I think traditionally leadership was very much about hierarchy, it was about control. But I think coaching, if we're interested in coaching, naturally, that just brings curiosity. We want to be more self-aware and we want to be more empathic. We want more empathy into the equation. So that changes everything. So women in particular, coaching gives us permission a little bit to lead authentically. We're not copying the masculine model of success. And I think each one of us here, I think would think of that quite strongly. No one is trying to emulate the power and authority to get control. So I think leadership for me, it's important that it aligns to our own values and strengths rather than trying to be something else. So in CCR3 Academy, we very much focus on behaviour, values and emotional intelligence. So this is my blueprint. So when a woman understands what drives her in that, how she makes decisions, how she's perceived, then she can come from a place of clarity and confidence. It's not a compromise. So we can really lead with authenticity. Um, what is that impact? You start to see women who are influencing culture. We're not just behind the scenes influencing policy. We're actually making the change. We're bringing collaboration. We're bringing emotional agility and purpose-led thinking. And sometimes, dependent on our background, it's bringing it to industries that have never seen that before. My background is in construction, so that's been a very male dominated industry, maybe, and the leadership has been about control. It has been about leading by example in that way of old and the experience. So it's really important, I think, now that this collaboration, the emotional agility, is put out there. So it's important for coaches and consultants working in those industries to bring that forward. So I think I think we kind of need to rebrand coaching a little bit in saying it's got bad rap, I think, some of it recently. And I think coaching is not just about personal development, it's systemic change. It's shifting how people show up, how teams perform, and ultimately how your business grows. So that's really, it's showing the authenticity of your leadership and bringing it to being authentic to yourself, coming out to your whole team or the people you coach.
It's like the Academy's core values. I think you've got some really valuable points there because although this is a women warriors network platform, it's just giving women the stage to speak out. But I think the points you've just made there, Orla, we're not trying to take over these dominant roles. We're just being individuals who can lead in our own ways and in as equally good a way as the next person, so whoever they may be. So, and it really aligns, I think, not just with what I see in my own work but in other people's works, that people are craving this leadership that's not just effective but emotionally intelligent and inclusive.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be complicated.
Mm,
And I think simple, for me, simple is best. And I think sometimes in industry or in commercial decisions, someone who tries to make it very complicated, I'm always suspicious because I think, well, it's actually not. So if we can be quite authentic to ourselves and clear, concise, we can influence decision making and therefore communicate in a better manner. So that's really the essence of it for me.
fab. No, amazing. Your academy blends neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and strategy. What's one surprising insight that's helped your clients unlock meaningful change?
Well, I think an aha moment perhaps is that self-awareness and all of emotional intelligence, it's not soft, it's strategy. So neuroscience shows us that 95% of our behavior is automatic. It's driven by our unconscious beliefs and emotional patterns. So that's part of ourselves, and you can call it your soul, you can call it whatever, but that you're not aware of what's running you. So what we're trying to encourage is, why don't you make that shift and understand that shift? And if you move it from the subconscious to the conscious to make those decisions,
Mm,
it's quite revolutionary. Say one client comes to mind who one of the values work, the part of the values work we do, it comes up that she thought she had no time for time management. She couldn't operate. She was a high paid executive leader. However, when we mapped her profile, it's actually not her time that's the problem. It's her economic value is so strong that her value on efficiency and return on effort, return on investment was huge. She wasn't disorganized. She was overcommitted to proving her worth through her output. So because she was so worried about her reputation and her brand and justifying herself, she was almost paralyzed by it. And that became her time management problem. So it was never the old school book of eat that frog or whatever, all of these time management, which have their place. But it was about the economic value that she needed to retrain in her brain about the legacy that was going. So CCR3 takes the intangible emotional intelligence, moves it to data. Once you've got data, you can then act on it. So once people see themselves clearly and you've got that data, that's when change becomes inevitable and success becomes inevitable too. So I think it's engaging, getting the industry to understand this is tangible change. We can make a difference through emotional intelligence.
We need to learn more about the CCR3 Academy. Obviously, everything afterwards will place everybody's contact details so you can get in touch and we can learn more. And after all of our speakers have spoken, we'll have a group discussion between ourselves. So if there are any more points you want to bring up, but thank you, Orla, so much. It's a great reflection on the CCR3 Academy's unique approach.
Good. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. All this muting and unmuting. I'm not a pro at these techie side of things. Okay, our next speaker is Fariha Fatima. Fariha is head of the products division at National Bonds Corporation. Fariha is redefining what excellence looks like in finance. A 2025 Excellence Award recipient, she's not just crunching numbers, she's crafting futures. Throughout her career, Fariha has developed innovative saving and investment solutions. And beyond her corporate role, she also coaches women and teens, helping them to build financial confidence. So please welcome Fariha, a woman who turns financial strategy into fearless impact.
Hi everyone. Thank
Welcome.
you, Sandy, for such a lovely introduction. It is indeed a pleasure to be amongst such high achieving women and who are making change and impact. And I, for one, also have joined the bandwagon. I want to do something with the experience that I have already gained in finance, creating products and solutions. So when it comes to excellence, yeah, I mean, the fact that I actually went for this award was is embodiment in itself of excellence, because I was not sure what's going to happen, but I still showed up. And I believe excellence is all about um, being authentic, looking inwards, not waiting for things to happen for you. Excellence actually is something which is innate. It stems from passion. So if you have a passion to make change, passion to show up, passion to be your best version, you do not need anybody to drive you. You do not need the resources. The markets may change. Things may not pan out the way you want them to. But I believe excellence is one thing which has always kept me going. And like I mentioned, it stems from true commitment and loyalty to oneself and to whoever is around us, whoever we have made the commitment to show up. So yeah, that's my story. I always believe in it. I've always been practicing it throughout my career in finance. Be it a good day or a bad day. I think if you are committed to excellence in everything that you do, personal or professional, I think you always find the light of day.
Sorry. Which answers the question I was about to ask about what does excellence truly mean to you when it comes to empowering women through financial strategy? I mean, it's very encouraging to hear, and financial literacy and access are such powerful tools for leadership. And again, it sounds quite, I think, as Orla said, we don't need to complicate things.
That's absolutely right, and that's what I'm trying to do now. So, having been in finance myself, I have seen a lot of people around me who are whiz kids and who are financial analysts. But one thing which I see commonly is people, like Ola mentioned, do not think
Overthink.
consciously. Everything is happening on autopilot. It's based on, either your, childhood blueprint about money, about investments, or what your peers are saying or what the markets are showing. That's where we take a step back, and before we jump into financial literacy, like what to do, what the markets look like, I have taken it upon myself to tell people to take a step back And before financial literacy comes the emotional part of finance. What is your relationship with money? Why are we doing what we're doing? So studying our own patterns, studying our own blueprints, which we have learned from childhood, studying our own past experiences, and making a conscious decision. And that's where emotional intelligence marries financial intelligence, and that's where my coaching is based upon. So I help people unlock or unpack the mysteries in their mind about money, and let them understand their beliefs around it, the patterns, the behaviors, spending behavior patterns, be it saving behavior patterns or investment. Once they study their own patterns, they become more conscious. And when a decision is taken consciously, it becomes powerful because you are aligning it with your values, with who you are and where you want to be,
Mhm.
rather than just blindly following people or patterns or your own blueprint for that matter. And like Orla said, it's perfectly fine to make the shift. And the shift can only happen when there is self-awareness. And that also again takes us back to emotional intelligence. And obviously, it's the fundamental of emotional intelligence is first to become aware of self and then aware of others around you. So when I stepped into this world of emotional intelligence coaching, I just knew that I have to use my, experiences with finance and financial decision making and what I have been seeing my whole life, including my own self. So a lot of my own decisions were just based on other people or things I'm supposed to do. I'm not sure why I'm doing them, and I started work within myself. So the work starts within. There is always inner work that has to be done. It sounds really lofty, inner work, but to be honest, it has changed my life. The way I see my personal relationships, the way I see my relationship at work. I'm still working. I'm still in the corporate sector. The way we work with others, and of course, the way I think of money right now. Uh, you can decide not to do anything and still be at peace with it because you have made that decision consciously, and that is aligning with your values. So very close to what Orla was saying is what I personally believe in, and my new, mission here is to help women and even teens. So I've had a lot of young children, teenagers, youths, even in their 20s. Um, if they get the clarity that we have got now in this age,
Mm.
they would be able to make their decisions much better, more consciously and more value driven rather than, just driven by society and, just working on 95% subconscious brain. So this is a change that I am, now, making, trying to make happen through my coaching and of course through my corporate as well.
Do you know, that's very well said and understandable. And I think especially for the younger generation as well, because finance can feel quite intimidating.
Oh, yes.
But if, you're educating from a younger age, you're giving them, these teenagers, the tools. I'm assuming that's what you're bringing into your coaching. You're giving them the tools, and maybe women, who've been housewives and out of the corporate world or the workforce for some time, it can be quite a bit daunting maybe to step back in. Or, even women who, not just women who may be now single parents, and suddenly they're taking on the financial load of everything. And if you've got
Yes, it
support.
is all about the tools, and you said it exactly the way it is. It is tools, and emotional intelligence tools are really like powerful. They unlock parts of our brain which we did not even know that we had, and we could, mobilize to make decisions better, to make relationships better, to navigate our day-to-day work life better. I mean, they
Mhm.
are so powerful. Like you can use them on a daily basis, and it obviously comes with practice. And that's like you rightly mentioned, that's what I'm trying to also inculcate in teens. So it starts with emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and managing your own self, regulating your emotions. And then comes the basics of finance and money, spending habits, where they stem from, the difference, between needs and wants. we start from that basic levels, for children. If they understand that at this age, they will obviously be more, empowered to make decisions in their lives rather than just falling for the first, you know, the first car that they see, or whatever happens when they start earning. So I think it's very much needed, and I think at every level, at every age, and even for men for that matter, they won't admit it maybe, but a lot of men need a lot of emotional and financial intelligence too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Fariha. You've shared such practical insights. And again, we'll come back to you when we've spoke with everybody else, but
Sure.
it just gives that bit more clarity and confidence, I think, for people who may have some financial questions of what they're doing in the future. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, our next speaker is Tatiana Dudyez. She's founder of Wealth Intelligence, executive strategist, and feminine power advocate. Tatiana is a force of nature where strategy meets soul and wealth becomes a tool for impact. Through Wealth Intelligence, she empowers women and men to lead with clarity, ambition, and wisdom, redefining what true success means. So please welcome Tatiana Dudyez, a woman who turns wealth into wisdom and strategy into soul.
Hello, thank you so much. Yes, I know Fariha is going like this, and I was going like this with Fariha as well, because I have a sister. I mean, we're all sisters, but I have a sister here. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you for this lovely intro. Delighted to be here.
Thank you. Tell us then all about Wealth Intelligence.
Yeah. So wealth intelligence. So I come from a background of I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I've been, that builder ever since I turned 18, and before that, I built a large luxury hospitality business in Canada, $50 million. I mean, as I was a single mom, the accumulation of experience and experiences as well led me all to this moment where, and actually my story as to how I even came up with wealth intelligence, which will speak to Fariha so beautifully, is because of this gap that I've experienced in the last 3 years that I've put into words finally for the public, that I've released yesterday through my newsletter on LinkedIn. And really, the essence of this work is, or this intelligence, is really to marry what Fariha was talking about beautifully. It's to marry financial strategy, therefore capital, to human governance, which is really about temperament. So we can talk about, emotional intelligence, psychology, money psychology, behavioral, all of that beautiful stuff. But in essence, it's really marrying those two worlds that have not spoken to one another in the past. I mean, when you read today that, for instance, UBS, is talking about the fact that women are not prepared to receive the wealth that is coming their way, by the way, $70 trillion, okay, out of the $130 trillion of the wealth transfer in the world that has already started. It is known, it is a fact, and I wrote about it even before I read the report from UBS, that women are not prepared. Why? Because it's a question of capacity. We do not have, not just women, and this wasn't built for women. This was built by a woman, because I have experienced what happens when the foundation cracks, when wealth outpaces temperament. And as Buffett said it very beautifully, Warren Buffett, we all love Warren Buffett. He says, what matters most in financial strategy is not intellect, it's temperament. That says a lot. So wealth intelligence is an intelligence indeed that marries those two worlds. It's a framework of 6 very simple principles that allows my audience is high net worth, ultra high net worth. it aligns them by learning how to transform their own gaps. Okay, so that's the framework. Beyond that, the service I provide is called Wealth Beyond Measure, which really is about what is it beyond wealth that that we can't measure, we can't always measure. And what happens for most of my clientele, the ultra high net worth and high net worth women and men, is that no worries, is that there are cracks in the system when there is a wealth transfer, when there is a succession, when there is a post liquidity event, a founder is selling their business. What happens is wealth is there, but the next level will require them to really master their temperament and the cracks in the temperament. And so the cracks is what I bridge, is the gaps is what I bridge with them, because those are invisible forces that will come and wipe them clean, or create loss, or create such downfall in whatever they're experiencing emotionally that it will actually impact the way they make decisions. It's really all about high stakes decision making. Is that clear?
That's clear. Sorry, and I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Sorry, and excuse me for I just ran. Somebody was ringing on my doorbell. I'm like, no. Apologies. It's only
No
there.
worries.
Thank you, Tatiana. No, that's very clear. But how do you help women shift from chasing success to embodying power? And men.
From chasing success to embodying power. The first step is that we look at where they're leaking power. We all leak power until we get to a point where we are no longer compromising. We're no longer burning out. We're no longer sacrificing. We're no longer chasing. And so obviously I work with high performers because I'm a high performer, right? We attract who we are. So our clients are exactly a reflection of who we are. So we work, well, first we look at what are the recurring patterns, what are the themes where at that level, they don't look at those themes as the root of their issues. They look at those themes as, well, why is this always happening for me, and blah, 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 blah. And believe me, I mean, I work with very high powered women who are, some are in charge of half of the world for very high level brands, like iconic luxury brands. And they have the same issues as all of us women. They're still persistent because they haven't uprooted where they're leaking power. So as women, we chase because we are not worthy, because we have a wound of betrayal, because we have a wound of abandonment. So we chase because we believe that the only way to receive is by chasing. But that's not true. I can go on, but I could go on all day.
This is your signature approach anyway. That's a very compelling take, and I get what you're saying. We're always chasing. I know I'm always chasing everything, from day to day. I'm exhausted chasing all the
there you go. Why? So
why am I chasing? Yeah.
Exactly. So a part of you is accepting that there is a belief system behind that says silently in your subconscious, well, it's okay for me to be tired and exhausted, because if I am exhausted, it means that I'm chasing. And if it means that I'm chasing, it's because I'm doing my work and I'm a hard worker. So therefore I should continue chasing and being exhausted. Maybe not. Because you can't, out of like my clients are at such a level that they cannot afford to continue being exhausted or burn out, which was my case, by the way. I mean, all of this is personal experience. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not on stage talking from books, and I'm on stage talking from experience. My old operating system was burning out. I would burn out all the time, like serious burnout, like, you know, COVID, burnout, all at once, hitting a wall. I had to rewire my belief system.
I mean, it's good how we explore the balance with ambition with emotional intelligence. But I think it's just looking at the whole human story of how we do operate and how we do handle these things,
But that's
isn't
emotional
it?
intelligence. It's
It
exactly what
sure is, yeah.
Fariha was saying, is that there is a story. We have a movie in our heads. Each of us have a movie. And in that movie, there is an old story that keeps on replaying over and over. It's all inherited beliefs. It's societal beliefs. It's the beliefs that keep you in your comfort zone. So, you know, it's in order to shift that operating system inside, you have to be willing to transform the
Yeah.
comfort for something else, so that it's compelling to you. You find your own leverage. Why would you want to transform that? You know, but
Yes, yes. What's so you talk about wealth as more than money, which is what we've just spoke about with the emotional intelligence. So what's one internal shift that unlocks true abundance for people you work with?
yeah, I don't really talk about it in those terms. So forgive me for simply redefining this with my own language, because when we talk about abundance and shifting abundance with my clients, they're already abundant in terms of wealth, right? So wealth is really the pie that you have in front of you, and we all have. It's the combination of the choices that you make in your life. And by the way, I have gifted all of you and whoever else wants from your network with redesigning your wealth, which is a presentation that I created for Playbook, and it's there is also a journal that kind of starts the questioning that Fariha was talking about, right? We all have to question the relationship we have with wealth. What does wealth mean? It's the way wealth is interpreted in my world is a governance system. So we govern the wealth of our life, and at any level that we are, whether you're the top CEO of Cartier in the world, or us here every day, we govern the wealth of our life. And there is our business, our personal life, our health, etc., etc. So the capacity that a leader has to create more wealth, receive more wealth, steward more wealth, or even transmit more wealth is really the question here. And that's the theme that I work on, is the capacity. It's just like a thousand watt bulb, okay? Sorry, a 60-watt bulb, and there is a 1,000-watt circuitry that is injecting electricity in that bulb. It's going to blow, right? That bulb has no capacity to receive so much wattage, so much electricity. It doesn't. So why do we, as leaders, why are we challenged by not always receiving what we want? Because we don't have the capacity, and that capacity has to be rewired from a very basic level. It's just asking ourselves questions. You know, again, back to what Fariha was saying, is there is an emotion, there is self-awareness, there is emotional intelligence. All of those terms only mean it's a question of what is in my capacity, in my economy. I talk about economy for women, and women are the most literal and the most figurative vessels of the world. We are vessels, literally. We have wombs that create life. We are vessels. We have an economy. when we're not conscious about our economy and how we receive and how we give, and we're not containing our power, we leak power. That's very basic. So
Yeah.
again, that vessel has to be able to receive so much.
Yes.
But it's up to us to clean it up. It's up to us to do whatever we need to do in that vessel to rewire it so that we can receive what we want. So this is a very basic way of explaining it, but in fact is very simple, as we were all saying before, right?
I guess it's always we've always got that desire for meaningful change, and it's the way we go about it and can capacitate how much within us to be able to deliver what we can deliver and put out there.
Yes.
Thank you, Tatiana. We'll come back to you again. Let's just move on. I'm just conscious of time, but very good, meaningful insight there. Thank you. Okay, and now last but not least, we have Katie Keith, Executive Leadership and Transformation Coach, founder of the KK Collective. Katie Keith empowers women in business to lead, rise, and succeed with clarity and confidence. With 25 years in corporate leadership, she now coaches senior women and founders through the altitude effect and elite success circles, blending neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and strategy. Today, she's going to share how to rise without burning out and lead with authenticity, not apology. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And can I just say, thank you, ladies. I'm just really enjoying the golden thread that's coming through here, is that it's about tapping into that self-awareness. And when a woman really truly knows herself, she's unstoppable. And it just unlocks all of that potential. And a wise woman said to me, and I don't own this quote, those deep, dark caves we avoid venturing into often hold the treasures we seek. And I think collectively, what I'm focused on, and my mission is to bring that collective wisdom and energy together so women can rise not alone, but together. And I think the real power of that is about unlocking what's within us. Now, the statistics show women have only been leading for a few short decades. Now, in my short career of 25 years, I've had a luxury of being able to lead and grow from the brass buckle generation into this real purpose-led spiritual awakening, this feminine vibration that's rising for all of us to eat up and enjoy. And we're paving the way for those generations behind us to now walk in our footsteps. And I think that's so powerful, that energy that we can bring to the world. And I think that, you know, through science and through back data, and I use the CCR3 model to underpin my entire coaching practice. I lean into my education at Henley. And the one part I really loved about that was the neuroscience. I've always been curious about the psychology of how we do business, why we do business. But how do we unlock the potential for more women to venture into those caves and really seek those treasures out, whether it's to unlock their financial freedom. You know, when we set up our first circle, and I'm really proud to say Orla, who's with us today, is one of our founders at KK Collective. And one of the things that came up for us is, you know, what are our burning ambitions? Where do we see ourselves? And financial freedom, family ease, and a lot of these amazing life experience we're seeking out. But what are our burning platforms? What are holding us stuck? And I call these the invisible handbrakes. And Tatiana, you were talking a little bit about this. How do we unlock our potential? How do we release those invisible handbrakes? And why does it take us so blooming long to do it? Why do we keep ourselves stuck in patterns and cycles and get triggered and round on the merry-go-round? When actually, if we move in company, we can actually release those invisible handbrakes really quickly. So I have designed a neuroscience-backed agenda to bring women together in a curated peer space, non-performative, drop the mask, build the trust, connect with empathy, and get away from that lizard brain and into that thinking brain and start to really look at what we can bring to the future. And so we are now unlocking the potential through our circles, which is our signature movement and intervention at KK Collective. And we are a multi-layered coaching community as well. So we're bringing lots of women from different parts of different industries with collective wisdom. And I always like to say the women I see sitting around the table from me are the ones that have been there, done that, and got the t-shirts, but they've still got plenty more space in their closet. And there's something about also reaching a certain point in our seasons of life. You know, I'm in my 40s now, and I feel like I'm only just starting to really shift gears and see what's next. And I think I'm joined in company by a lot of women who want more purpose. They want more access to money, more financial freedom. They want to take the reins and they want to create something. One of the biggest things that I see at the moment is wanting to build community. And I think that what we're creating here at KK Collective is the space to do that.
You certainly are. Does this apply, Katie, to, because I know you run your events in London, but does it apply globally? Because like Tatiana and Fariha, they're both based in Dubai. But it's a global network, isn't it?
It's really a fledgling at the moment, and the goal is to expand into every corner of the globe. And I am designing a business model that is going to allow that to take place. At the moment, we are trialing our elite success circles online for global women. We had quite a few women in like New York and the UAE and Europe who joined us at the last one, and we're looking to do another one to bring women together. But we are hosting our in-person in London. But I am looking to expand our collective coaching community as well. Other women that want to come and be a part of building circles. Now, just imagine we're moving into this AI world, digital leadership, leading with technology. The human-centered approach has never been more important, and circles are the most ancient way in which we've connected. I'm not creating anything new here. I'm just bringing really ancient ways of connecting as human beings back to the table so that we can tap into that human-centric leadership, conscious leadership.
Fantastic. No, I think it's, as you said, it's sorry, what's new about that? No, nothing's new. It's just about the doing of it, though.
We just have better venues, less campfires, and, better lunches.
And we're not bringing our daggers and wearing our leaves.
Yeah, exactly.
Strangely. Okay, so your work centers around transformation and creating success circles for women in business. So what patterns do you see among high achieving women when it comes to growth and self-leadership? And how do you help them rise to their next level?
There's a few patterns that I'm really seeing lately. And the first one is, we're kind of at a threshold, right, of where we are now and what we're becoming. And there's a lot of sort of letting go of old patterns, beliefs, and models. And it's about climbing the next mountain. And what do we need to leave at base camp before we go on the ascent? And where do we get our oxygen from? And one of the biggest patterns is over-functioning. And this is coming up, especially as we've got that frenzy before the end of the year. I even sent out a little SOS message to one of my circles today to go, I have noticed this, guys. So what is your mantra that's going to get you through the next few weeks? Because over-functioning, sometimes we sort of mistake, we confuse capability with capacity. Yes, we're highly capable of getting everything done, but actually, do you have the capacity to do it? Like, where are you taking a breath? Like, when you hit the 1st of January, what kind of person are you going to be? Are you going to be like a rag doll, or are you going to be going in with intention, reflection, and space to breathe? Now, often we start the new year and just go, oh, this year's going to be so good. And then by February, we're like, holy shit, I shouldn't have said that. I've jinxed myself. So there's just something about over-functioning. And then there's a little bit of disconnection. And this sort of leads in, there's a golden thread here. We're becoming more disconnected with who we are. And this is where I always say to women, don't do it alone. Have your tribe around you, people that give you the oxygen you need, and check in with you to say, why are you doing this? Is this going to make your boat go faster? Does this keep you on track with your internal compass in terms of what your North Star is? And I think we're trying to be everything for everyone right now. So why not be a little bit for yourself? And then there's one more, plateau with pressure. We feel like we're plateauing and there's all this pressure around us. We know there's more coming, but we're struggling to find that because there's so much fog around us with the over-functioning. So these are 3 very interconnected themes that I'm seeing right now.
Look at how sorry, Katie, how everything you're saying ties into what Tatiana, Fariha, what Orla's saying, it's all connected. And, even down to the Women Warriors Network, this is why I set the platform up. So it was while I was based in the Middle East, I was in Saudi Arabia, I was in Dubai, and I was quite alone And I want to build a network selfishly, not just for myself, but for all these other women who maybe didn't have this platform to get out there and to speak and be supported. I think there's just so many of us, we just try to do it alone when we don't need to. We're
Yeah,
not
and
in
there's
competition, you know, we can support each other.
yeah, let's drop the masks. Let's move from a performative state into a collective state. And I
Yeah,
think that that's the underlying message here. It's not about doing more, it's about recalibration
yeah,
and figuring out, you know, what needs to stay and what needs to go. And I think that's really important. And that's the work we do with each other.
yes, absolutely. And though you also say success starts with self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So what's one mindset or EQ insight that has the power to change how women show up in business and in life?
Well, I always just think awareness before action. We often dive in without really looking at a situation. And once we put the situation on the table, it becomes more manageable. And so the EQ discovery is where I start with every single woman. And we have a look at really what drives our behaviors, our values, and what shows up in our emotional intelligence, because it's not soft, it's strategic. It's exactly what Orla has said. And the more we know about our outer world and our inner world and how the two of them come together, we're really unstoppable, because self-aware, it starts with the self-awareness. I call it the inside out success. You've got to go in first before you can go outwards. It's just a simple fact. So if there's one thing you could do today, it's just learn to know yourself and love yourself better for who you are.
Well, that's a key takeaway for sure.
Yeah.
Very good. Guys, I'm going to open up, unmute all of you so we can just discuss for ourselves for the last couple of minutes. Because I think all the insights you've all given today, it's very resonates, I think, with all of us, number one. And there's a lot of takeaways we can all take from this, but also to learn from each other and connect with each other and see how we can help each other. But
Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing, which is so refreshing, because normally you go into a webinar and there's only one person ever talking about emotional intelligence, and you've got to kind of blend it. Whereas we're all saying the same thing, but in a different way. And it's so refreshing. I'm an accountant as well, but to hear two women talking about money and how it relates to emotional intelligence is fabulous. I mean, it's for me, it's such a no-brainer of where we go and why we make all these decisions. That we're all survivors. We've all got our own story. And like we said before, I think you said, Tatiana, we've all got our own movie. So we've, through that movie, our resilience and all these things that we've just done, because women survive and are resilient. And if we've got dependence or we've got whatever we've got, just get on with it. And then you look back and you think, God, that's why I did that. And if I'd known that, it would be so much easier. And I think we're all saying the same thing. And it's really refreshing. To be honest, I wasn't expecting it to be like this. And I thought I'd be out on the emotional intelligence limb. And obviously I know Katie, and I know her work intimately, because I'm on the other end of it. And unfortunately, I went through the whole thing of what do I need and what do I want. I need to have somebody putting the mirror up at myself and giving me a dose of my own medicine. And that's what I'm going through at the moment with Katie, which is the growth is fabulous. And because I've been in that stage of survival for so long, there's a lot of walls that need to be broken down, and the Inside Out program is really good. So, but it's great. I think every one of us was clapping or nodding the whole way through that. So it was very refreshing, I think, for me.
Yeah. And Orla, I think just to carry on with that, we're very good at building the prisons around ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize we are at building those invisible walls. And sometimes we need someone to come and open a little window for us and go, hello, we're here. And I think that there was just something really lovely about the flow of the conversation as well, a real golden thread there. I couldn't agree more with, and just some of the insights around connection into money. And you think about one thing I wanted to mention, only 2% of women get funding, female founders, and they're normally questioned in their pitches on risk as opposed to growth. When men go into a pitch, they're questioned on growth, not risk. And so it's interesting around the dynamic in the financial part of things and the emotional intelligence we need to take out to the wider community. And I hope there are men listening to this to really advocate for the shift in that thinking, because I think that's a huge barrier to funding as well.
It's a huge barrier indeed. And you know, I've self-funded my entire life. I even that other luxury hospitality business that I co-founded, we all self-funded, right? We didn't go and get capital on the outside. And it determines also, like you say, a mindset. And so coming back to women, we have historically been working in through this fight or flight type of survival mode, and it is ingrained in our nervous system and in our which of course is also in our minds. Why do we chase? Because we don't think that we are simply worthy of receiving in a way that defies those odds of fight or flight and the chasing. And so there is such a restructure to do, because even asking, like for me, asking, when I went through a loss in my finances, I was terrified to ask for help. And then I thought to myself, why is it that I'm so terrified to ask for help? Because I've never asked for help. I've been this single, you know, I've had relationships obviously, but I've been divorced for like 20 years now. And so it's been silently creeping into forming a mindset that I wasn't even aware of, back to the subconscious and unconscious part of our brain that runs our movie. So, and also the expectations people have, to your point, of a female founder showing up to pitch, different expectations. And because she's brainwashed to function in the fight or flight mode, she then gives answers differently than the man. So it's like a self prophecy that, you know, a nervous like a vicious circle that's really annoying. So some of the women that I work with, I prep them for those pitches. And one of the questions that I asked one of them recently, I said, are you aware that you are the one choosing your investors? And she was like, say that again? I said, you are the one choosing who will invest and who you will partner with. She's like, oh my God, revolutionary. Why? Because she was so needy. So that's the shift, is we actually need very little. We want a ton, which is amazing. But when we really ask ourselves and we reverse engineer, we have very little that we need. So she was just completely combabulated by
The
that
negative bias, Tatiana. Yeah, that's the built-in negative bias in our brain, and that's where the neuroscience and the rebuilding of those neurons into positive bias. I remember I was asked a question, why are you so successful? And my brain did a couple of roly-polies because it wasn't used to asking it in that way. So I had to respond positively to that. And so, yeah, it's a spot on there.
But then again, you know, because I've been through that as well, like 15 years ago when I sold my business, I exited strategically and successfully from the business. People were looking at me like, wow, she's so successful. And honestly, sometimes I would be like doing a double take, like, who are you talking about? And then I was like, wow, how interesting, you know? And then I realized now with what I know now, is that my nervous system was rejecting the idea of success because I couldn't, it couldn't land.
Yeah,
I
couldn't process.
Right. I was like, whatever, like it doesn't define me. And then, but yet it did define me in some ways. So yeah, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do.
A lot of rewiring to be done.
Yes.
Yeah, because our nervous system is, like you mentioned, it is trained to keep trying, to keep working hard, and we think that, you know, the more hard we work, the better we will do, and we should keep looking for validation from everywhere. So I think that circle or cycle has to be broken. There's a lot of work. It
has to be broken and it has to be transformed, because if we just break it, then we don't uproot you know, what's the essence? Where does that come from? So we want to go and look and uproot, but uproot with grace and reverence and respect and honor, because you know some of these things that we need to break free from are inherited from our
generations. Yeah.
it's
Yeah, very
heritage,
true.
right? Like
Yeah,
I've been spending lots of
archetypes.
time with my mom here, and I've been watching, and I've been like, oh my God, like I didn't realize this, and wow, you know, so I had to like really give it honor and and gratitude so that yeah, and it's really important. That's one of the things that I find in the Middle East has really been such a huge uh, learning um, learning
Mm.
soul learning, because the Middle East is very strong with heritage. Heritage is
Yeah.
very important. Legacy is very important, and it is because it's the only way we can actually innovate from. But we can't rebel from it. We have to accept it and welcome it and thank it.
And still make the shift wherever we need to. I mean, with like you mentioned, with grace, it doesn't have to be through blame,
No,
not at all. But you know, you can say, okay, this is what they have learned from their parents, and they have
right.
learned from their parents. And I'm sure their culture was such, and the environment was such that they had to sometimes do a flight or fight. But as you mentioned, we are transforming and innovating, so we can have the power to choose the beliefs that has served us and the ones that haven't served or don't serve us any longer.
That's
And
right.
Exactly.
that's
And
always
Yeah.
what comes
there's
from.
something about if you're waiting for a permission slip for this to happen, you'll be waiting forever. So it really is up to being a
Yeah.
part of calls like this, being in communities and around people that are going to give you the energy and the oxygen to give you the confidence to give yourself that permission slip to make the first change. Once you shift one invisible handbrake, it just becomes so much easier to recognize the rest. But they keep showing up. So it's an ongoing evolution of
Yeah,
continuous shifting.
yeah.
I think, as you say, Orla, as well with the CCR3 tool, it's the shifting gears.
Yeah. Well, the first step is realizing, as we all said, the first step is being aware of it. Once you're aware of it, you can make you can move it from the subconscious to the conscious. It's, I mean, we're all converts into this. We know that. But as I say, when you're doing it on yourself, it is difficult because we are telling ourselves a different story than we all coach clients. It's very easy to see it with somebody else, but the mirror has to be come back in. You have to look in the mirror sometimes, and it comes back. And I think we've got a responsibility as women leaders to change the system and to lead with intent and to educate the next generation, who are the Gen Z generation, who are used to instantaneous decisions. They're used to instant results. They're used to instant gratification. These are all, we've got a job to work to bring them with us on this journey, because otherwise I feel there's a stage that we could lose the feminism, the whole movement of women and the strength of us, because the girls that are coming up that I see through my teenage sons, the friends, but maybe it's just, but it's just, I want it now. I want it now. And no, you have to work for this. You have to work the longer game, but we've got to break it down in a different way so it shifts their thinking. And I think we've got a lot of work to do together as this generation to bring the next lot on, rather than just saying, well, we've got this issue, we need to change this and break this. So, well, yeah, we do, but we need to then change it again for the next generation, because they're two steps away perhaps from the generation that we're looking at going, oh my God, I'll never be like that. I don't want to be. That serves you, but not me. And I think that's a really interesting piece of work that I don't think we've even really started as a movement of women. And I think that's really interesting as the next generation, well, not the next, probably two generations down, but as these
and
kids.
and the rest all up.
All right.
As we get older.
As the kids come up through that loop, we've got and the men and boys, but that generational divide of I want the decision now, I want the result now or tomorrow. And in wealth, especially, and wealth and finance, this is not get your pocket money now, it's spent today, you've got nothing left, or this is starting early. But it's like that about everything that they're doing. It's about their version of themselves, their inner self-belief, their confidence, their vulnerability, their support network, their tribe. All these words that we're using, we should be educating these girls and boys that these are the important rules of life.
I've actually reached out to my children's school for this. I told them you guys have to have something, and I volunteered myself to do an evening class for emotional intelligence because they just still don't have it in the curriculum. In
They
some
don't.
schools, finance is still there, business, entrepreneurship, some bits of that, but emotional intelligence, which is literally at the core of everything. Let's see what they get back. They haven't got back to you, but I just told them, like, I'm like mother myself. I would love to do it for the kids, even for free, because this is where it will start, the transformation, the new generation.
I've just taken notes on all of that because, having two daughters who are grown up, but then also a granddaughter and a second one on the way. Yeah, I don't want them to be these brats who are stepping into the world and think everything comes like this when we've worked so hard. I am actually going to try put that forward as a future event, actually.
Yeah, I think
Guys,
that'd
it's 3 o'clock, so I just want to thank you all so very, very much. You've all shared such powerful insights today, which has been magical, interesting, and it was just coincidental that the title was Women Who Make Change, and it's all tied into one. So
I was going to ask you that. Did you plan this?
No.
Because it was perfect.
I didn't.
Like each one of us is like a different facet of the same thing. I'm like, if you planned it, it was brilliant. How did you pick us
Sandy,
all?
own it.
Thanks, Sandy.
Take the credit, Sandy.
Hold on, I'll take that credit. But it's about the values, the visibility, and let's keep nurturing this leadership that's bold, balanced, and beautifully human. Guys, thank you so much. And for those who joined, this will be sent out to the 100 or so people who signed up for this event, the recording. There'll be a long version and a short version, and it will contain all of the contact details of our extraordinary speakers today. So if you want to reach out directly or through me, please do. And if you are looking to host a Women Warriors Network event tailored to what your business is and what you'd like to get across, please get in touch. But thank you all so very much today, guys. And you guys need to connect, Tatiana and Fariha. Bye for sure, but we all will.
Yeah. I'm already starting. I've got my little finger like going on those invitations on LinkedIn already.
And I'm just looking. Have I got a chia seed on my tooth? I've had it all the time. Apologies.
You're not that close to the.
No, we're okay.
I'll stay away. Thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you. Sorry, one second. I just want to shout out to my friend
it.
Aisha, who's joined and stayed throughout. Thank you, Aisha. She's a friend of mine from my university as well. I know her for 20 years.
Sorry, I've got it all hidden here. And
no, it's fine. Aisha is there. Yeah. Thank you
very much, guys.
Bye. Bye.